Hey everybody, Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share yet another update on my experience with the Sony CyberShot HX400V, this 50 times optical bridge-style mega zoom compact point-and-shoot really does attempt to deliver every single feature a consumer could desire, and then some. I mean, the multi-interface hot shoe, GPS, Wi-Fi, NFC, the capability to download play memory applications, and basically do post-processing on the camera that you can't do with any other camera like this on the market. In addition to that, the ability to take control of the camera using your smartphone or tablet, iOS and Android alike. A bevy of features, Carl Zeiss glass, and again, 50 times optical zoom means 24 to 1235 millimeter equivalency in terms of range. You also have GPS on board. This is really a very well-rounded camera for $499.99. And even though you don't get RAW capability, Sony knows that most consumers looking to pick up this camera don't necessarily need it. And those who do understand the sensor that's in here know that it's pretty small and really not necessarily worth having RAW capability from a sensor of this size. Despite that, it is still an improved sensor over the previous generation, the HX300 exmor-r CMOS type sensor that's complemented by Sony's Bions X processor. You can see the marketing right there, and I can tell you right now it makes a big difference. Continuous autofocus faster, stabilization improved with their intelligent stabilization that's above and beyond the active steady shot that all of you Sony users know and love already. And then in addition to all of those things that I've mentioned, you've got a redefined menu system that mirrors basically what we've been seeing across all of Sony's successful DI offerings lately, which is the alpha menu system ported to this camera. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, and that's what I'm about to show you. So let me go ahead and power it up. You can see power on time to first shot very quick, and I'm going to go ahead and bring up the menu, get it in focus, and take you through what to expect from the HX400V. So let's start at the beginning. Of course, image size, you can see we've got our range of megapixel capture quality modes. If you stick with a 4:3 aspect ratio, you're going to get the values I just showed before, and that'll vary jumping from different ratio. By the way, if you go for the one for one, you will get a 15 megapixel image at its peak quality, but that will extend your range all the way out to 1425 millimeters. And that can all be played with. Of course, this is what also clear image zoom is all about. I'll get into that a little bit later. In terms of quality, you have fine and standard here in terms of the range, and that's pretty much it. Moving over to the next page, you can see we've got 7 pages here. File format, AVC HD. You can also choose MP4, nothing new to Sony cameras. You've got a wide variety of different quality modes for video, whether you want to deal with the highest quality 28 meg bit rate that I've got right there in the 60p PS mode, or, take it down. Maybe you believe in the 24 megabit being more efficient, or you prefer something more cinematic. You have your options here, and clearly can lower your data, file size. Your drive mode, 10 frames per second continuous is capable with this camera. The exmor-r CMOS sensor with that Bions X processor has absolutely no problem handling that. Your flash mode, and it's just nice that we've got menus that are now uniform, so if you use any other Sony camera, you're going to feel right at home. No learning curve, no new system. Not that the CyberShot system really put you in that boat, but something I wanted to point out. In terms of your focus area, you've got control of that, the autofocus illuminator, your ISO range. That's yet another thing you can manipulate, and you can see we can take it all the way up. Not that you'd really want to go up to 3200 and change. That's in auto. You can go up to, I believe, 12,800 in manual, but again, that's not something that's going to look pretty with a sensor this size. In terms of metering mode, you've got options there as well. Standard fare. Moving right along, white balance. All of your expected presets, dynamic range in HDR. I mean, this is not new stuff, but to the HX300, it is, and that's why we're seeing it here in the 400V. The 300 had a menu system from hell when compared to this camera. This is just far more optimized, clean, straightforward, and easy to use. Your picture effects, that bevy of different filters, all right here for you to choose from. Focus magnifier disabled there, but that is available clearly in other modes. Your high ISO noise reduction, lock on autofocus, which the continuous autofocus, as I mentioned, improved in this camera over its predecessor, the HX400. Smile and face detection, it's not a gimmick, folks, it works. The soft skin effect, auto object framing, I don't recommend using that. In terms of your steady shot, I mentioned the intelligent active. This is the new mode beyond active and standard. Highly recommended if you're off tripod. This is going to give you that extra edge when you're on the long end of this lens. Auto slow shutter, also in video, by the way, of course. Auto slow shutter, you've got that. That was on the previous gen. Everything here, pretty much, by the way, was on the previous gen. I want to point that out for those of you that are curious. And now let's go into settings. Not as many pages here, I can assure you, but you know, all the things you would want to see on a camera that's trying to be very full-featured and give you manual capability, whether we're talking about peaking, levels, the colors, the grid line, it's all here. So that's important. Control of your viewfinder and monitor, you can make that auto using the included sensor like that, or switch it over to manual. But it's really just a very full-featured camera. Then you've got the Wi-Fi component with the applications. You can send to a smartphone, send to a computer, view on a television, use the NFC for one-touch capability there, airplane mode for travel, WPS push for networking to your home router, access point set if you want to just do a manual configuration, and all the things you'd expect to see. You've already seen this if you own a Sony Wi-Fi enabled camera to begin with. The application list, though, is another element, because here you've got access to Sony's Play Memory Store, and now you have a wide variety of applications that will allow you to get more creative, as well as cut out some of that post-processing that you're generally dealing with on the back end, both in still and video. By the way, this camera captures 1080p at 60 frames progressive. You saw 28 megabits. That's going to match just about any top-of-the-line camcorder now, unless you're going 4K, like the one this is being captured with. So you can see a wide variety of applications here, some new ones that I featured in a video recently, but the actual catalog is pretty broad. Some are free, the majority do come at a $5 or $10 price tag, but I can assure you most of them are practical and not just gimmicks. Moving along, in playback you've got some different options, but no access to them right now here, simply because of the mode. And then finally, settings, your monitor brightness, audio signals, your GPS settings. I love that they brought that back, by the way. I know there are a lot of you that don't care about geo tagging, but for this market, geo tagging, I think, is the target. You know, it's hitting the bullseye, much like the Wi-Fi and NFC, just on surface value at the very least. Tile menu, your mode dial guide, your display quality, your power save start time. I mean, I'm not going to read all of these off. I just wanted you to all be able to see what actually lies under the hood in the file system. And that pretty much covers it. The current version, you can see, is 1. Hopefully firmware updates are going to be something we see with this. That's not something we see a lot of with the CyberShot line, but considering we've got play memory access, I think we will likely have a shot at least. I'm not going to make any promises, nor do I have inside information, but it would make sense. Battery life, a little over 300 shots, 140 minutes of video on a single charge. Keep in mind, 29-minute clips. That is your cap on recording, because this is a still imaging device first, not a video camera. If you want longer record times, you'll have to work with an actual camcorder. Clean HDMI out, you've got a multi-port for transfer as well as accessories, and I'm not talking about the hot shoe, I'm talking about literally that USB multi-port right here on the side, as well as the HDMI port. So really a lot to like about this camera. Lightweight, plastic. There is some metallic in the build, but it is predominantly a plastic build. But still hefty enough to feel like a quality piece of hardware. Enough customization, I might add, with the new memory presets they've added. Only one on the HX300. We now have 3 recall modes here, and or excuse me, 2. That was the manual exposure I just switched to. But you know, to have 2 memory recall modes is pretty nice stock on this, and that's just again lending itself to the expanded flexibility, versatility, and manual control that the HX400V affords. So a lot to like here. Basically, Sony bringing back all of the premium elements that the HX flagship mega zoom was all about. That unfortunately the 300 was missing some of those things: GPS, Wi-Fi, NFC, the sensor for the viewfinder, this multi-interface shoe, just to name a few. And as I've mentioned over and over again, we've got the added benefit of the new menu system, new processor, upgraded sensor, and just overall operation being faster and more efficient in every way. And then if you do actually care about those play memory applications, you've got a whole nother level of camera, a different beast altogether. So a lot to like here in this latest HX400V offering from Sony. I think that anyone in the market right now for a mega zoom should be seriously considering this camera. $499.99, certainly pricey, but when you take into account everything that it has to offer, it's really unmatched right now, especially with regard to its competency in both still and video, even in low light situations for a small sensor driven camera. And that's really everything that you need to know, at least that I can share right now, about the HX400V. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. And of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.